Hello and welcome back to the Listen to English channel. Today's video is specifically crafted for our B2 level audience. If you feel this might be too challenging or too easy, please explore the other playlists on our channel for different proficiency levels. Our guest today is Analise, and she has a story that many of us can relate to. She's going to talk about the day she stopped multitasking. It's a compelling look at the pressures of modern life and the illusion of trying to do it all. If you find this video helpful for your English studies, please don't forget to share it with fellow learners and let us know your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. Are you ready to challenge your listening skills? Let's hear from Analise.
Hello everyone, my name is Analise. If you had met me a year ago, you wouldn't be seeing the calm, focused person sitting in front of you today. You would have seen a blur, a whirlwind of activity, a woman constantly on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but convinced she was the epitome of efficiency. I was the queen of multitasking. Or so I thought. For years, I wore my ability to juggle a dozen things at once like a badge of honor. My day didn't just start. It erupted. The moment my alarm went off at 6 a.m., my brain was already racing. Before my feet even hit the floor, I was mentally drafting emails, planning dinner, and going over my schedule for the day. Breakfast was never just breakfast. It was a high-stakes performance of simultaneous tasks. I'd be scrambling eggs with one hand, checking my work, Slack channels on my phone with the other, all while half listening to a news podcast and shouting reminders to my husband about bills that needed paying. My mind was like a browser with 100 tabs open, all of them frozen, and music playing from somewhere I couldn't identify. I worked as a project manager in a fast-paced marketing agency. The environment there glorified the hustle. The unwritten rule was that if you weren't doing 3 things at once, you simply weren't working hard enough. I bought into it completely. My desk was a cockpit of chaos. 2 monitors flashing with spreadsheets and design mock-ups, a tablet for instant messaging, and my phone constantly buzzing with notifications. I'd be in a Zoom meeting, nodding along and occasionally chiming in, while simultaneously writing a proposal for another client and responding to urgent texts from my sister. I genuinely believed this was peak productivity. I felt a strange buzz from it, a dopamine hit with every task I ticked off my endless to-do list, even if I had only given each task a fraction of my attention. I felt important. I felt indispensable. I told myself, this is what successful people do. They maximize every second. I was so proud of my ability to switch contexts rapidly. I thought it made me sharp, agile, a modern professional woman who could have it all and do it all. But there was a darker side to this constant frenzy that I chose to ignore for a long time. Beneath the surface of this highly efficient machine was a person who was deeply exhausted and perpetually anxious. My mind was never quiet. Even when I wasn't working, I couldn't switch off. I'd be watching a movie with my husband, but my brain would be busy composing mental shopping lists or replaying a difficult conversation with a colleague from 3 days ago. I was physically present, but mentally, I was always somewhere else, always chasing the next task, the next obligation. The quality of my work started to suffer too. I was making silly mistakes, typos in important documents, double booking meetings, forgetting key details of client briefs. I was doing a lot, but I wasn't doing any of it particularly well. It was quantity over quality, speed over depth. My relationships were also taking a hit. I'd be out for coffee with a friend, but half my attention would be on my phone under the table. I was listening, but not really hearing. I was there, but not really present. I remember one specific afternoon that was particularly chaotic. It was a Thursday, about 3 months ago. I had a major client presentation due the next day. A team member was out sick, and my inbox was overflowing. I was at my desk, trying to finalize the presentation slides, while simultaneously on a conference call with a difficult vendor and attempting to eat a sandwich that was rapidly disintegrating in my hands. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my mother, asking a simple question about a family gathering. In my state of heightened stress and fragmented attention, I snapped. I didn't just reply, I fired off a rude, impatient text, essentially telling her I was too busy for her trivial questions. As soon as I hit send, a wave of regret washed over me. But I didn't have time to process it. The voice on the conference call was asking for my input, and I had no idea what they had just said. I fumbled an answer, feeling my face burn with embarrassment. At that moment, my boss walked by, dropped another urgent file on my desk, and said, "Need this by 5 p.m., Analise." It felt like the walls were closing in. My heart was pounding in my chest like a trapped bird. My breath was shallow, and my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my mouse. The screens in front of me seemed to blur into a meaningless jumble of light and color. The noise in my head was deafening. The call, the deadlines, the guilt about my mom, the sheer overwhelming volume of things I had to do right now. I tried to push through it, to do what I always did. Just pedal faster. "Come on, Analise," I told myself. "You got this. Just focus." But I couldn't. My brain, that magnificent multi-tab browser, had finally crashed. I stared at my monitors, my eyes wide with panic, just like you see me in the picture, unable to process a single piece of information. I was paralyzed. The illusion of control I had fought so hard to maintain was shattering right in front of me. This wasn't efficiency. This wasn't success. This was drowning. That day, I didn't finish the presentation. I didn't answer the vendor. I simply stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked out of the office. I sat on a bench in a nearby park for 2 hours, just staring at a tree. For the first time in years, I didn't look at my phone. I just breathed. It was terrifying, but it was also the first moment of clarity I'd had in a decade. I realized I was addicted to the noise. I was using busyness as a shield to avoid facing my own anxiety. The next day, I made a radical decision. I called it the Great Monotasking Experiment. I decided to stop multitasking completely. Cold turkey. The rules were simple but excruciatingly hard. Do one thing at a time. Just one. If I was eating, I was just eating. No phone, no TV, no reading. If I was writing an email, I closed all other tabs. If I was talking to someone, I put my phone away, out of sight. The first week was a nightmare. I felt a physical itch to check my notifications. My brain was screaming for stimulation. I felt bored, restless, and strangely unproductive. I felt like I was moving in slow motion while the rest of the world was zooming past me on a highway. I worried that my boss would think I was slacking off because I wasn't responding to emails within 30 seconds anymore. But then something shifted in the second week. I noticed that when I sat down to write a report, I actually finished it in half the time it usually took. Because I wasn't context switching every 3 minutes, my focus deepened. The quality of my writing improved. I wasn't making those silly mistakes anymore. At home, the change was even more profound. I remember one evening, cooking dinner. Usually, this would be a frantic activity. But this time, I just chopped vegetables. I listened to the sound of the knife on the cutting board. I smelled the onions. I felt the heat of the stove. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but it felt like meditation. My mind quieted down. The constant background static of what do I have to do next began to fade. It has been a year since that day on the park bench. My life looks very different now. I am still a project manager and I am still busy, but I am no longer frantic. I work in blocks of time. I focus deeply on one task for 45 minutes, and then I take a real break. My relationships have healed. When I am with my husband, I am fully with him. We have real conversations again. My mother says I sound different on the phone, calmer, more patient. I realize that multitasking is a thief. It steals the joy of the present moment. It steals the depth of our experiences. We think we are buying time, but we are actually selling our attention, which is the most valuable resource we have. If you are listening to this and nodding your head, if you feel like your brain is a browser with too many tabs open, I challenge you. Try it. Try doing just one thing. Drink your coffee and just taste the coffee. Walk down the street and just walk. It feels uncomfortable at first, like stepping off a moving treadmill. But once you stop running, you might finally realize where you actually want to go. I didn't lose my productivity when I stopped multitasking. I found my sanity. And that, I realized, is the only true definition of success. Thank you for listening.
Wow, what an inspiring journey. Thank you, Analise, for reminding us of the power of focus. In this B2 level video, you listen to a monologue filled with rich vocabulary about mental health, productivity, and lifestyle changes. You heard phrasal verbs like burn out, slack off, and idiomatic expressions like cold turkey and wearing it like a badge of honor. If Annalise's story inspired you, why not try monotasking for just 1 hour today? Let us know in the comments how it felt. But you are doing a fantastic job improving your English. Every video you watch is a step forward. Keep listening, keep learning, and remember to be kind to yourself. See you in the next video.